So what is up, guys? Welcome back to the More Nick Ackerman channel, and I regret buying the iPhone 16e, and I think it makes no sense here in 2026. Let me explain quickly in this video why. Well, first of all, the price of this phone starts at nearly $600, and with taxes and a case and maybe a screen protector, because this is not going to be the best protection of scratch resistant like the Pros, this phone is going to push near 700 bucks. It starts at $599. So right out the gate, that's a pretty high price tag for what you're getting here just to have an Apple logo on your device. So for me, I regret buying it for the price point. I just don't think it's worthy of that price tag. This feels more to me like a $399 phone or like a $450 phone, $449, maybe brand new. Build and design, it feels like spare parts that they had in a bin and they just had to use them up like from some older phones and just kind of mash them up and make yourself a 16e. It just feels rather cheap by Apple's standards. I mean, the other phones just feel a little bit nicer. I'm not saying it feels like a plastic phone. I mean, it's still aluminum. Let's not get it twisted. It still has a glass back, but it just doesn't feel like super premium for a premium $600 plus price tag. It feels like leftover parts from a 13 and a 16 all mashed up together to make an iPhone 16e. Now, the next reason I kind of regret buying this is the display. I basically bought myself an iPhone 13 again on a display. Granted, the brightness is probably a little bit better. We have a little bit better calibration of the display, and generally the text is about as sharp as one of the newer phones, but at the same time, we have that same notch from iPhone 13, same thick bezels, and generally, it just looks like I repurchased the same device when I'm looking at day to day. It also still runs 60 Hertz, which we all know by now. Apple went to the 120 Hertz on the iPhone 17, so this kind of feels a bit dated here for sure. It feels like a 4-year-old display here for 2026 money. So this phone just doesn't make a lot of sense in that department. The next one is performance. We have an Apple A18 chip in here, and while it's good, this is a binned A18 chip, so it's not going to perform quite as good as even the base 16 chip does. It is clocked at the same clock speed, so it should be fine overall for most daily tasks, and it does have the same 8 gigs of RAM, so it shouldn't reload too much, and performance should be adequate for most people. But if you're looking for, really strong performance, this one's going to just feel very average, very normal. It's not going to really mess around with your day-to-day use. You'll be able to play your games, do your things, but this is a bin chip, so it has a little bit less efficiency. It gets a little bit warmer under heavier use, and the device generally just doesn't perform as well as even the base models. It's not that noticeable though, so that's not the biggest deal in the world, but there's nothing impressive about the performance. It's just good. It just works. Now, the camera on this phone is pretty good. It's a 48 megapixel camera on board, but it's still a single camera. At this price, there's a lot of phones with more than single cameras. I am aware you can easily crop in on here, but the results don't really match up to the dual camera iPhone 16 and 17, except for the base when you're just on the 1X. That's pretty close. You can do 4K at 60 here, but on the front, I don't know if it's 4K. Yeah, it's 4K 60 on the front, but the front doesn't have that ultra wide lens like the newer 17s. So everything about this camera phone feels like acceptable. It's an iPhone camera, but it's just nothing overly impressive. So, it just feels very basic on here. I get that's the point, to be basic, but this might be a little bit too basic, I think, in 2026. Now, another couple of things is connectivity. Well, another thing is the connectivity. We don't have ourselves Wi-Fi 7 on here. We don't have Bluetooth 6.0. We don't have the Qualcomm modem. We have the C1 modem in here, and that is not quite as good when it comes to reception strength versus the Qualcomm. It's still pretty good, but it's more about power efficiency, and that's one area this phone is actually pretty good. I can't knock it there. The battery life is pretty good on this phone, but really no MagSafe on here. That just doesn't make sense, especially if you're going to recycle like an iPhone 13 design that did have MagSafe. It's just weird that this doesn't have MagSafe. I am aware it does have the latest, Siri integration, Apple Intelligence integration, and it does even have visual intelligence on board as well. Those features keep it feeling current when it comes to software, but generally there's no camera control over here. And for just a little bit more, you get all of those extra features on 16 and 17. Thermals and charging speed are also not the best. This phone gets a little bit warmer than the 17, 16, and it doesn't charge super fast. So yeah, if you get my point here, I kind of think that this phone doesn't make a lot of sense in 2026. I'm not trying to say it's not a good phone. It does work fine. It does have the Apple software. The software is great. It does get a lot of updates on the device. It's simple and clean. If you like a minimal aesthetic, you might really like this. If you don't want to be on your phone a lot, there are things to be said about it. I'm not saying it's a horrible device altogether. I'm just saying that it makes too many cuts and it makes me regret picking this one up. I really don't plan to use it all that much just due to, just having too many sacrifices. It just feels like an iPhone 16, 13 Frankenstein phone. It just feels a little bit cheap because of its lighter weight, the materials. It feels a little bit un-Apple-like. Every Apple device I pick up feels a little bit more premium than this one. And I get it, that's the point. But I just think at that entry level, if Apple can do something a little bit more exciting, I do think that this E line does have potential, but it needs to be maybe a little bit more exciting than what they offered up here. Maybe a dynamic island, maybe even seeing most of the features that we see on the 17 with maybe a couple of cuts, not as many as they made here. So let me know if you agree, disagree with this video down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.